Welcome to the Gordon Phinn Zoom for this month, everybody. It's nice to have everybody back again, and most everybody here has been on the channel before, so I think we're ready to go, and I'm going to let you take it from here, Gordon.
Okay, thank you, David, and nice to have you back after that extended break. I was losing track of the weeks, as you could well imagine. And so I'm fresh and ready to go at it today, and it sounds like the rest of you are too. And so welcome all. And I don't think I have to, you guys are so experienced at this point, you could run this thing yourselves. You know exactly what's going on. You might have a sort of slightly varied experience from time to time, but you know what's happening. You know what's going on. You know that there's spirits lost, confused, and wandering around, either after a recent passing or maybe after one that's a few years longer, and they think they're wandering around in some kind of an extended dream, which in a sense they are. So obviously we will discuss our things later, but I don't think you need much instruction from me other than an opening meditation. So let us focus on this moment in eternity, the now that we are always living in if we didn't keep forgetting, and let us move away from the recent past. Let us stop regretting whatever may happen yesterday or the day before. And let us put aside any anxieties or worries about tomorrow or later in the week. We'll deal with that when it happens. Right now, we're going to live in the eternal moment. So allow yourself to relax in whichever position you are comfortable in. I suggest you close your eyes. You don't need your physical eyes for this exercise. And allow, as you breathe slowly and comfortably, allow your etheric or spirit body, the astral, if you like to call it that, let it rise up from the physical. Let it rise up into the room that you are in and through the ceiling of that room and through any other searings if you are in a multi-story building. Let yourself rise up to the free air above the roof. Let yourself feel that breeze blowing this way and that. Have a look at the community in which you find yourself, or the fields and streams, if that happens to be where you are. And now, knowing as we do that any area of the astral can be explored, whether in the time of now or the time of future or the time of past, because all time is now. Allow yourself to move to where you might feel curious, where you might feel you can be of help, where you sense that there may be someone calling to you or someone's. Allow yourself to move. And if you're a little stumped about what to do today, let your guides do a little suggesting. And we will move on our journeys and I wish you well, and we will talk again in about 15 minutes.
Hello, everybody. It's time to start coming back now. I think everybody's back now, Gordon.
Okay, thank you, David.
You're welcome.
You all had an interesting experience today and are settled and ready to talk about it. And don't forget to bring all your emotional bits and pieces back if you were somewhere where there was a bit of stress. Disentangle yourself from whatever that was going on and resettle in your own body. Okay, over to you, David.
Okay, so if anybody has some time constraints, please raise your hand and we'll let you go first. Okay, Adrian.
So hi everyone. I come a little late. So this meditation, I reached out with my mind, with my intention. If anyone needs help, I asked my guides to help me. And I feel pulled toward a direction. So I went there, fly there. I just was there instantly, and there was this man, and this was a bit dark place, not entirely dark, but darker. And so I asked him that. So he seems to be in need of help, and how to introduce myself and how can I help him. And he was in a bad state emotionally, like he felt like his life or existence has no meaning, and like there was no meaning, no belonging, no affection, no warmth in his existence, his being where he was. And he wasn't there alone. Like I felt like that's a place where that seems to be a theme. Like that's how it's organized. But I was talking only with him. And my guide was present, not with the body, but with suggestions. Like I was getting this bit of suggestions from time to time. So I told him that there is a way to a better being where there is more meaning, more purpose, more belonging than what he has now. And he didn't fully believe me, but was intrigued by the idea. And so what my guide was suggesting me that it's it's not a simple case. Like I cannot just tell him to leave and to leave. Like he's deeply entangled, and so with him, it's likely it needs to be a process, like repeatedly. So I was just talking with him in general, like maybe is there any way he can change his attitude towards this distance? Can he, for example, help someone? That would be a nice way to start. And he said that, nobody really trusts help. And it looks like, someone's going to take advantage of you if someone presents himself as a source of help. So help is not trusted there. So then I said, is there a way for him to help someone without offering it? Like, does he know someone who wants to help that not, formally, just do something that will be helpful, just to shift focus a little bit. And yeah, he was open for it. Said he will do it, but he said he's alone. There are people there, but he feels alone. He doesn't belong to anyone. Rarely talks. Even if he talks, it's hostile. So I said I will help him. I will come back to him periodically. Can talk and see how it goes. I also introduced him to. I received the name Daniel. Like I told him, I have a friend, a very wise friend. He's Daniel. Can call upon him. Maybe it sounds a little woo-woo, but try to introduce to him, and he couldn't see the Daniel, the guy. So we agreed that he will try to help, and I will return to him at some later point. And then my guy told me that I did great. Like it didn't seem like much, but that's good enough for now. So that's how it ended, and I left.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple observations. Seems like you started the process at least, and there's more work to do, but sometimes it does take more time in different times.
I have to say it was really heartbreaking place. Like I felt like I wanted to cry. Like this sort of existence is just so bad, and like you see a person crying, he may feel bad for an hour or two, but then something happens and he goes on with something else. Something changes.
Yeah,
but not for him. It was in this constant anguish.
interesting that you notice that there's places that where people are all the same, like kind of like a theme type thing. All the depressed people are all together, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Adrian.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian.
Well, Gordon, okay, yeah. Denise, is that you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you go next?
Okay, I'll go. I actually had two different experiences, and I should have wrote down my first experience, but I didn't. And then I had my second experience, so I don't remember my first experience. But the soul retrieval was the second experience, so that's the important one. So anyways, like I said, I was in this experience, and then all of a sudden I hear, and it's in a movie where it says, go into the light. Go into the light. What movie is that from? Is that Poltergeist? Yeah. I was getting the impression Poltergeist, and it says, go into the light. And, and that was the vibe I was getting. And I think her name is Mary Jo or Joe Beth or something like that. But anyways, so then I kind of said it like my mouth moved, you know what I mean? And I said, go into the light. And as soon as I said that, there was like this click, click, click. And it felt like my head kind of jerked to the left and then came back centered, and that there was like clicks with it. But then I was getting like in my left ear from the inside, I was getting like these knocks, and it was very loud. It's probably one of the most surreal experience, you know what I mean, I had. And it was like, not so much like Morse code, although, I mean, don't rule anything out, right? But it was kind of like, like and I don't want to say 3 clicks because I know 3 clicks can mean something, but it was like, like tapping and then a pause and tapping. And it stayed consistent for a while. And in that moment, I was locked in on that. And it just felt like some sort of code or activation, or I don't know what was going on, right? So, and then it stopped. And as soon as it stopped, I saw visions of a semi and like blistering snow and whatever have you, and like a semi horn honk, right? And I felt this male energy. But with it, it was such a calm energy. Like it didn't get into the details. I could tell that it was that there was a tragedy. It had a jacket on. It was cold and freezing, and I hate that. So at first, I didn't like it because I don't like being cold. So I'm like, is this me facing a fear or something like that, right? And I didn't like it. And but then just with it just came like, you know, I felt like it was like, oh, where'd you come from? You know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, go into the light. And next thing you know, I saw like the tarot hermit card, where like this lantern, and just go into the light. And this person just walks by and says, oh, thank you, I was lost and couldn't see. You know what I mean? And it was just as simple and peaceful as that. Like they weren't stressed, and they just said thank you as they walked by. And I was like, what was your name? And they said Kevin McDonald. And they said thank you, and just like kept walking. And I just felt like I was the hermit holding the lantern, and I was saying go into the light, and they just walked by. And that's what it just felt. But it was a very light, like like it wasn't a low frequency lost. It was felt like a higher frequency lost. If that makes any sense to anyone, it didn't. I didn't feel like I was in a low frequency. I felt like I was in a high frequency, and it was very surreal. And that was cool.
Do you think this was the result of an accident in a semi truck, in the winter?
Yes. Yeah.
Someplace?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Or right. Or somebody, something. Yes, absolutely. That was the impression that came in. And it was like, but it was like one of those, like, like I didn't pry for the details. They didn't reveal
Mm-hmm.
the details. It's like the details weren't needed. It's just like the emotion was there. And it's like they were in the cold, and it was pitch black, and
Yeah.
they couldn't see. And it was like, go into the light, and oh, thank you. Okay. That's all I needed. You know what I mean? It was really kind of, like I said, peaceful and beautiful. It was interesting, different. Like each one is always so different, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds like you had a rescue there, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he gave you his name, Kevin McDonald.
Kevin McDonald.
Kevin McDonald.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. That was good.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
Does anyone notice around? I'm getting just a pink color, all over you, Denise, and I think probably everybody else is seeing you in pink. But does anybody else see this around her head? It's her aura. I can see her aura, like it's a brighter pink. And can you guys make that out too?
Yeah.
When you were talking, I was watching it, and it's quite lovely.
Well,
It's-
what that is, Marge, is I was guided. Actually, a couple of months ago, I was guided to get red light bulbs. And I just, I put it off and I never did it. And then I was in Walmart with my son the other day, and I got them, and it's like, oh, there's two. You know what I mean? I only just need one. And but I got the two, and then I still didn't do anything about it. And I still kept on getting this nudge, because I sit for a physical medium that she sits in trance, and then you open the curtain and there's red light on, and spirits like to work with red light. So for some reason I've been being nudged by my guides to, when I'm doing work like this, or what I mean, or when I'm in meditation,
Yep.
to sit in the red light. And I'm finding that the energy is is, you know what I mean, is I feel that it's stronger. So I'm not really sure, what's going on or why I was, guided to. But the impression I get right now is that spirit is able to, I don't know, come in better, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's what you see as I'm sitting in red light. But as you were saying that, and I was looking at myself, because your screen
Yeah.
there. Usually I'm looking at you, not me. I did see my
Your aura or
my
whatever.
aura. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Mhm.
Well,
Wonderful.
that's what produces transfiguration is the red light. And one time I was at my neighbor's house, who's a medium, and I got pretty worked up about something. And she said, she says, "Oh my God, you're transfiguring right now." She's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "It's like you're a man or something." You know what I mean? And I told her, and I says, "Well, sometimes I look in the mirror and it's not me, it's someone else." And I told her I went and got my photo taken at the driver's license facility, and they had to take it 8 different times and call people over and call a manager over and say, "Keep on taking a picture of her and look at who is this person? Who is this?" And eventually it did. I understand, what was going on. So maybe, the red light will reveal more or something. Who knows? But I do have a neighbor telling me that, and I do know that when I get worked up, I do feel like I'm channeling. Like sometimes I get worked up and, words come out of my mouth and I'm like, "Ooh, who was that?" But I don't know, but that was really good. I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Gordon, would that be some of her past lives maybe coming through? Is that possible? Some of her past
Yeah.
lives
Yeah,
coming
sure.
through and showing themselves as a different, she might be a different man or a different woman or whatever. Would that be a past life, do you think?
It's a possibility.
It's a
Yeah.
possibility. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Very cool.
And at this point, I've learned to not rule anything out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
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 Good. Fabulous.
On that note, I just want to say something real fast about looking in a mirror. 2 nights ago, I had a dream, and I looked into the mirror. I felt like I was David Wright, but I looked in the mirror and I was totally Asian. I was an Asian person.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
either I'm someone with these dreams and stuff. I believe that there's a lot of parallel worlds, and that's just another world that I'm in where I'm different.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it's a coincidence that I just shared what I shared, and then you had this experience. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
2 days ago. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It was meant to. You know what I mean?
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Has us
All
both
right.
thinking more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to think it was migraines. You know what I mean? Because I'd get the flashes of light until I met a medium on Zoom, and she told me to close my eyes and follow the light. And when I closed my eyes and followed the light, they would turn in like to giant illuminated sphinxes, and you know what I mean? Because I never got headaches. I never went to the doctor, and I said, "Oh yeah, I get migraines," but and everybody's like, "Oh, this pain, the pain to get the headaches," and they're like, "If you don't have pain, you don't get migraines." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I get flashes of light out of nowhere, especially on my left side," and da 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 da. This has been happening to me for years or whatever. And then I'm telling this to my girlfriend who's a medium. And then she says, "Next time that happens, if you're not getting any pain," she says, "my guides are telling me to tell you next time that happens, close your eyes." And then I did. And like I said, and she said, "And follow the lights." Oh, and that's what it said today. Go into the light, right? Go into the light. Interesting, right? But she says, follow the light. When I did, yeah, like I'll see like sacred geometry or figure, you know what I mean, really really cool. So next time you see yourself as as an Oriental man, David, you know what I mean, close your eyes and go into it, or either that, or, I don't know, maybe even just lock into the mirror. You might be better off going into like a trance, lock into the mirror and see, you know what I mean? How sometimes they say in meditation, close your eyes, or sometimes, they'll say stare at a flower or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And see what comes back, right?
Yeah. Or maybe ask his name. Say, "Who are you?"
Yeah, that's what I did. Is he was like leaving. I was like, "What's your name?" And he says, Kevin McDonald. And I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Yeah, right.
It worked. You know what I mean? And then not only that, but when after I did it, I even heard it was funny because Adrian said they told him good job. I got bravo, bravo, and clapping. They showed me the emojis where they have the clapping sign. That I heard, because I didn't question any of it. Sometimes
Yeah.
I question and analyze it, everything. I kind of just went and said, yeah, okay, just go. And I kind of chilled through the whole experience, and it had a happy ending. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Was indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Oops.
Okay.
I didn't put up my hand, my
That's
little
okay.
Hobie.
I see
Is
ya.
that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. This was very interesting because I overshot my roof and I went and I left the earth and I went, whoa, 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 a little too high, a little too high. And I had to turn around and come back down because I could look behind me and I could see the earth. And I was shooting up
Wow.
towards the stars. And I thought, wow, whoops, okay, turn around, come on, you got to come back. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, so I did, ask if anybody needed any help. Can I be assistance to anybody? And yes, these people came through. There was the people from the uh, from the from the bar. They came through. There was quite a few of them, and I did recognize one of the girls in there as the one that I had seen in my vision.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had I used to be a tour guide at Casaloma when I was younger, or in my 20s. Love that job. Love that job. So I all of a sudden kind of went into being a tour guide so that I didn't get caught up in a lot of the emotions. I told them about their tragedy, and I told them about that the fire doors had been locked on the outside. That's how they couldn't get out. Um, they knew about the sparklers in the champagne bottle that had apparently alighted or lit the what was it called? The insulation on the roof. Now,
Hmm.
something we learned in the paper, however, today, so maybe this is where I got all the information. In the paper today, they were saying that the insulation was put on the outside of the wood roof in the bar. It wasn't on the inside. Usually you put insulation in first and then put, your ceiling on top, but it was the opposite here. So the sparklers, of course, in the champagne bottle, caught the roof and set the place on fire, and these kids couldn't get out. Um, so I kind of went into that. I said, just to tell them that this is the tragedy, basically what you all have gone through, but you've all made it through. And then I kept telling them that they were safe, that they were loved, that there is no fear in this place. You are all protected, and you've overcome it all. And I found they were very quiet, actually. Quite a lot of them were quiet, which surprised me with being young people. I thought maybe they would be a little bit more hysterical. Um, so I say, I'm come with me because I'm going to take you to a place to rest. And where I took them to was basically Downton Abbey or something that looked like Downton Abbey. It was an old castle, and they were quite enthralled with it all. Because the chandeliers were sparkling gold and there was a lot of treasures all over the place. And so I said to them, and they were standing at the bottom of the staircase, and I said to each of them, your guides are here. Your individual guides are here. You may not know what a guide is, because I didn't know about their background, if they knew about any of this stuff or their religion. But I said, they're all here, and they were all lined up at the front, and they all kind of look like butlers. And I said, they will find you, and they will take you up these stairs to a place where you can rest. And so that's what they did. The butlers went through and they said, hi, I'm your guide, and introduced himself. By the way, I introduced myself in the beginning. I just said, I'm Marg and I'm here to assist with your journey because you're on another journey right now. And before they went, I said, does anybody have any questions before you go up the stairs? And there was just this one young gentleman who was quite lovely. He came through, young kid. He must have been in his 30s, black hair, tall. He said, I need to go back and be with my brother. And I said, sadly, you cannot, but you will see him shortly after you rest. And then they all basically went up the stairs, and as they ascended the stairs, they were all disappearing. That was it.
All right.
Very good. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Sounds like one of Gordon's group rescues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I always have to ask for assistance, though. You know, it's not like I could, Gordon, you could do it yourself. You go in there and and you could do it. I'm saying I need a guide or I need an angel or somebody to help me with this because I don't think I can do it on my own.
Well,
I say
years ago,
bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
when I was starting out, Marg, I would always be asking for help. The whole period is covered in my book, More Adventures in Eternity, and where the guides start treating me as some kind of they would just tease me, and eventually they said, "No, you can do this yourself. You don't need us anymore." And it was around the time of the Iraq War, and believe it or not, back then I could not figure out how to get to Iraq. I mean, how crazy is that? But anyway, they wouldn't help me. No, we're not helping you. Do it yourself. I mean, they got quite rude at a certain point. They started out teasing, and then it was like, no, forget it. We're not helping you. Go away. And so anyway, just so you know, I went through that phase quite a long time ago, but I did go through it, and it took quite a few months to get sorted out with my own lack of self-confidence in doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I use Archangel Raphael is my main angel because of my animal Reiki, and the same with Archangel Michael. So those two angels I have been working with for a very, very long time. When I started my animal Reiki business back in 2006, so I have no trouble asking them to come, and they just come and they do what they need to do, and boom, away they go, kind of thing. So, but
Mark, you just said you started your animal Reiki in 2006.
Yeah, 2006. I received my I received my animal Reiki master degree, and I was working on people, on humans when I first started, and I thought this was awful. I mean, I thought this isn't what I want to do. I want to work with the animals, and so, what you do, you put it out to the universe, and they connect you with the right people that you can work with. And I've worked at a sanctuary for about 5 years, giving Reiki to the animals there, and and then things just spiral, and then you do trade shows and you do a whole bunch of other stuff or whatever. But
it's funny you would say 2006, Mark, because the book I just referred to, I kind of wrote and published it in 2006.
Do you know, I think I might get that book of yours, Gordon. I really do. That, and maybe your memoir. Well, I'll try it because
there's lots of stuff. But it's just funny that it would be the same year. I didn't realize your Reiki went back to 2006 until you just mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I got my Reiki. Go ahead.
I have an interesting story. So I also read Gordon's book, Adventures in Eternity.
Yes.
And what's interesting that I mentioned it to our mutual friend, Vicky. That I read Gordon's book. It was very interesting, and it coincided with her dog's passing. And she felt like her dog returned to her, like in presence. And the dog's name was the same as the name of the guide in the book.
Oh, what was his name?
I don't remember. It was some time
You mean
ago.
Henry?
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. Funny, eh?
And she was touched because we were talking about the dog for in a couple of emails back and forth, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was a surprise. Yeah, it didn't happen every day to her. That her dog comes back in some form, and it was a very good book. Like, I read it and I was quite impressed and immersed in the story, and so
Mhm.
yeah, it was a synchronicity back then.
Okay, that's my sign. I'm going to buy your book.
Well, good.
Just
Well,
you mentioned the dogs and animal reiki, so it came to
Uh-huh.
mind.
Yeah, fits right in.
Thank you, Margot. That was very nice. Priscilla, would you
Thank you.
like to go ahead?
Well, sure. I get these easy cases. I guess the universe knows I'm still training. But in any case, I don't know what I said or what brought it on, but I suppose it's just knowing that I have a stepsister that died a month ago. A stepsister that I was not particularly close to, but I have some fond memories of. She had a long-standing problems with drug and alcohol abuse, and she wore her body out. But in any case, yeah, she showed up, and I started saying to her, "Well, do you want to go with me?" She said, "Yeah, I want to go with you." Kind of like the way she would. Now, we weren't real pals or anything, but we were friendly. "Yeah, I want to go with you." Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to remember all of this. So I wasn't sure where we were going to go, but sure enough, my horse comes to the rescue.
Mm.
And I guess we ended up getting on the horse, and the horse grew wings, and we flew around, and then we ended up at the stables where we're down the street from where I grew up and where she grew up. So she knew the stables, the horse stables. They weren't there very long. They were leveled and an apartment building went up. But in our early youth, there were horse stables. So we went to the horse stables, and I guess I asked her, "What has she been doing?" She said, "Well, nothing. She's been bored. She hadn't been doing anything. She's been bored." So then, well, she had a brother who also had drug and alcohol problems, and he died about 10 or 15 years ago. Sure enough, he shows up, which is great. I reunited them. He showed up, and I said, "Well, what have you been doing, Ronnie?" "Oh, nothing. It's just really boring here." Well, at least they're not in hell. They don't say, they're not in a really dark place. I mean, they're fresh straw, happy horses, but they were bored. So I said, "Well, get on my horse and we'll go to the beach," because we lived near the beach. We grew up near the beach on the West Coast, San Francisco area. "Get on my horse and let's go to the beach." Best way to grow up, on the beach. So we did. And then, sure enough, if there wasn't I'm racking my brains. How is this going to come out? How is this going to come out? What's going to happen here? Well, I don't know. Well, there's a canoe there at the ocean. And of course, I had the horse. So I said, "Well, you two get in the canoe and head out toward the sunset, because the sun sets on the ocean, on the West Coast." So they did. Off they went into the sunset on a canoe. So then, that's not the end of it. So at some point, I get on my horse and come back to my house Well, maybe it was I was still at the beach and my mother shows up, who is their stepmother. And she's died 8 years ago. So my mother showed up looking in good form, and she said to me, that was a good thing that you did there. That was a very good thing that you did. So that was wonderful. I saw my mother and she was doing good. She was happy. I wasn't rescuing her. Oh, and then she said she would meet them on the other side.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
Yeah, that was fabulous, Priscilla. Nice job. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Yeah.
So
Good
then my
retrieval.
horse and I returned home, and yeah, who would have guessed?
Loved it. Really.
Yeah, great
You
retrieval.
got an extra bonus there with your mother coming.
Yeah, I felt real good about that. Especially considering that a week ago she came in a real vivid dream, came to me in a real vivid dream. And just, doing the things she would do, which were always interesting. And she was looking good. And it's the longest dream I've had about my mother and that I know of. And then that same night, I had a visitation from my deceased husband. Whoa. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've been
You,
blessed.
yeah, you've had that before, some visitations you said by him.
Yeah.
Was it good or bad?
Oh, no, it's good. They're always good. The
Mm-hmm.
dreams, when I dream about him, they may not always be good dreams, but the visitations are always good visitations.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't last long, but it's just a wonderful, fleeting feeling of connectedness and love.
Yeah. And there's usually a story to them?
No,
There's not. Okay.
no. And I do believe that that's one of the distinctions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's one of the distinctions between a visitation and a lucid dream. A lucid dream will have a storyline that you
Yeah.
develop and you do great and interesting things, but a dream visitation, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty good distinction there, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the distinct that proves out for me. Now, of course, first thing in the morning I get that written down in my journal.
Well
And I
done.
go back and I say, when is the last time that happened? 4 months ago. Been 4 months. It used to happen. Well, anyway, I'm happy.
Yeah, your journal's getting thicker and thicker now. Okay, well, I'll go quick here because mine was quick. And we've been talking about animals, horses, and Reiki and that kind of stuff. I had trouble getting in today, right at the very end. I did not have a full dream at all. I just had the beginnings of it. And maybe I can catch it later on. But my first one was I saw a collie dog up on its hind legs. And then there was no that ended there. And then I saw some kids swimming in a lake, like in the shallow end, and they had floats around them, like kind of like a donut. And the kind of, remember that you blow up air into it, and they put it around a little kid, and they were floating in there. And that was it for me. Before that happened, I started seeing different shapes and colors and that kind of stuff, which sometimes can lead into a rescue or a dream.
Uh-huh. David, I'm
Mhm.
wondering that a week or so ago, before you went away, you emailed me about a rescue you did of a young man from New Zealand
Oh yeah,
mountain climbing, and then
yes,
you got a verification from the newspapers.
correct.
Will, will you
Yeah.
tell people that now?
Yeah.
I'll do it next time because you know what happens? I mean, I have it written down, but I forget really easy. These dreams, and
Well,
I'll have to review it, so I'll be prepared for that next time.
but you did get his name, and then you did get an exact match on the name, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
And that's pretty rare, especially it happened in New Zealand, right?
Yes, it did.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
want to be,
anyway,
there's more details to it. So yeah, I want to get yeah, I'll plan on doing that next time. But
okay, good. I think
thanks, Gordon.
everyone should know.
But Gordon, I look at you when we're doing this and I always seem to cut you off in the middle of your thing. When I tell everybody it's time to come back.
Oh, well, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Only the last couple of times was I kind of busy. I'll tell you what I was doing today, unless somebody else wants to go before me.
I think you're the last one.
Okay, well, I was first minute or two, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do today, and I didn't have anything in mind, which is odd when you look at the news. And then some guy whispered to me, "What about Iran?" And I went, "Oh yeah, all the rioting in Iran." And the figures I have read suggest somewhere between 500 and 700 people have died. So I said, okay, let's go to Iran, and went to Tehran, where a lot of the rioting seems to be going on. And sure enough, there was quite a lot of people there. And the guides had sort of, they took me to a place that looked like a cross between a school gymnasium and a banquet hall, a big banquet hall room where they hadn't put the chairs and tables out. About that size. I'm not sure quite what it was. But there was a group of 40, 50 people in there. And I was given to understand that I was to stand up front and address them. So I thought, oh, great. I wasn't really in the mood for that, but I did it. And, sort of raising my hands in the air and saying, okay, you guys, I'm here to help you out. And, there was a fair bit of talk amongst them and audience members saying things like, who are you and what are you doing here? And I heard another voice saying, oh, look how he's dressed. He's from the West. And for some reason, that seems to work in Iran, especially amongst the more educated people. If you're from the West, you're kind of cool. I don't know why that is, but it's part of their culture because I think they want to be more like us and not be held down by conservative religionists. So I say somebody said that, and I thought I wasn't expecting him to say it. So I said, "Yeah, I'm from the West, and I'm here to help you guys out, and we're going to move on to the spirit world." And somebody said, "Oh, Islamic heaven," and then somebody else cynically said, "Oh, you mean Islamic hell?" As though religious heaven was hell to these people. And so there was a fair bit of back chat amongst the crowd. People didn't like fall into silence because I'm standing up there addressing them. I mean, they weren't shouting but there was a lot of, how can we trust you? Who are you? Will you say you are? And, that kind of stuff that I've experienced in Gaza before. And they're still pretty rattled. This rioting and fighting with soldiers and getting shot at and, the whole 9 yards. They're still filled with that energy, and they haven't calmed down. Not much anyway. I'd say they all kind of knew they were dead, and they'd been gathered in this one place by guides who'd probably nudged them into this place without actually revealing themselves. That's the sense I got. And it was somehow up to me to sort of address them and move them on. And so I worked at that, chattered away one way and another, tried to have them trust me. And eventually I did, although I got a level of trust. I wouldn't say it was 100%, but it was kind of like, okay, let's see what this guy can really do, a bit cynical. And so I threw the kind of the bubble over them, the sort of fabric bubble that it's a thought bubble. Of course, it's a thought bubble. And, you just, at first, years ago, I used to think, how can I throw a bubble over any more than 6 or 8 people? And eventually you just get bigger and bigger and you can throw it over more and more. And so I threw the bubble over them and sort of gave them a final warning. Okay, we're going to move. Don't be rebellious. Don't fight me. Just go along with the program here and we'll get there, no problem, that kind of thing. And I moved them and we were on the next level. And sure enough, there was, kind of a fairly sort of mid-sized stylish looking hotel in front of us with glass doors. And I said, okay, here we are. And they kind of looked at the hotel and they were kind of impressed with it. And I said, just move on. There'll be people there to help you out, and you'll be able to, the usual thing, rest and relax. And you have a shower and have a meal, and chill out, and then you can decide where you want to go. Because I had a feeling that some of them were quite anti-religion, and some were still kind of committed to their religion. So they all sort of, it was interesting, they sort of walked by me, not like one by one, but not like a mass crowd charging to the hotel, but they walked by me, and several of the men stopped and shook my hand and gave me a very sincere thanks. And I've noticed that with Iranian men here, and we've got quite an Iranian diaspora here in Toronto, lots and lots. They've been here for years. And I noticed that they're quite that way, man to man. They're quite polite and deferential. And so that happened, and I hadn't seen that so much before. Anyway, they go on. They all go inside, and then I get the message I'm to go back and get some more. So I go back to the pretty much the same place, or another place that looked like the one I was just at, set up by the guides, not set up by me, and went through the same kind of stuff that I just told you about. A little more rebellious chit chat. Who are you? Can we trust you? How do we know that you are what you say you are? All that kind of stuff. And some people were definitely not into it. And I said, okay, see that door at the back there? Almost like a double door at the back of a gymnasium. I said, just walk through there and you don't have to come. You can stay here and just move out of this area so that I can deal with the people that are here. And about 5 or 6 of them walked out this back door. And I can't ever remember saying that to any group of people before. But so as I say, kind of like the repeat of the first time, except for the ones that wanted to get out. Mm-hmm. And threw the bubble over them, moved them up a level, and went through the same thing. We arrived almost like a paved area with a bit of garden and stuff in front of this pretty stylish looking hotel. And I said, on you go in there and you'll be looked after. And I said, don't worry, you're going to be catered to, not dictated to. And that was almost like a magic formula when I said that. And I was quite pleased. It just sort of, it was, as a momentary inspiration, I thought, well, that's a good one. I'll have to use that again. And it seemed to sort of, and they all walked over without like stampeding or charging. And again, several of the men stopped and nodded and shook my hand and thanked me very sincerely. And I said, "That's okay, don't worry about it. This is what we do here." And I said, "Enjoy your time here. It's going to be wonderful." That kind of thing you say. Mm-hmm. And then David was saying, "Oh, it's time to come back now."
It's quite a bit of work you did in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I did a few group retrievals, maybe not here on our together, but I put it in the book, in Gaza and Ukraine. And that involved meeting up with, numbers of people, maybe 12, 15. I don't ever remember quite that many.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, and like they just said, "Oh, can you go to Iran?" And I went, "Oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?" Because it's been on the news for days now, and I should have thought of it right away. I just didn't. And I was kind of thinking about Marg talking about the place in Switzerland and what I'd known about that and the sparklers catching fire and stuff. It was on my back. That was slightly on the back of my mind, but Marg said she was going to do it. I thought, well, Marg can handle that by herself. She doesn't need me. And then I started wondering about something else, basically.
Wonderful. Oh,
thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody have any final comments for today? Priscilla.
Yes, Steve. I have a question. Denise brought up the subject of tarot cards. Mm-hmm. And I just wondered, is that something I should be checking into? I mean, is that something that would advance my horizons and my skill set?
It could be a good symbolic library. Like, each card has a meaning. So if you learn them, it's going to be a language that your subconscious can use to give you
Right.
information.
Yeah, I agree with it. And that's how my guides come in because I do have tarot and oracle cards, and I'm familiar with, a lot of their meanings. They bring that card in because it's a quicker way to get to the conclusion than to drag me down
So do
the
you
long
mean to say
short road. It's the short road. To show me
you
the card is the short road.
you draw that card out of the deck?
No, and for me, because I have clear seeing and I'm also clear audience, so like, I hear, Kevin McDonald, but it's like I see it, you know what I mean?
You
I see
see
it,
it.
show me the
You get a
card.
visual. You get a
Right,
visual of it. Oh, okay.
right.
Okay. So which deck, as a beginner, as a novice on this, I guess there's a variety of types. What type should I get?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
you like.
Yeah.
It just,
Whatever
but,
you're drawn to.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do know that like the Rider Waite is kind of like your atypical traditional. But it's whatever you're guided to. Once you start looking, you know what I mean? You're going to be drawn to
Okay.
a deck and, because there could be, 150 different tarot decks to choose from. But, that one deck may be all horses. You've been having a lot of experience with horses. So you might be drawn to a horse tarot deck. You know what I mean? As opposed to the traditional. They have mermaid ones. They have, all kinds, just, you name it,
And there are other decks that are not related to tarot at all.
Yeah.
Now, would I have a problem if I got a used deck?
No.
I don't believe so. There are some mediums that'll say, oh, no, 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 no. I once knew a medium that wouldn't even let you touch your deck. I'm like, oh, you got fears. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all about love and, love and light. It's what you bring to the table. I don't care if you spend your life worrying if somebody touches my deck and my deck is ruined. That's just crazy. But
Okay.
but that's not my opinion. But I don't say that's crazy. That's not a nice word. It's just not my belief. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I believe that you get the deck and you'll be drawn to it. You can clear it. You know what I mean? You set the intention to clear the deck and then you spend 30 days with it. Keep it by your side in your purse, under your pillow as much as you can for 30 days so that, your energy and the energy of the deck connects and anything can be cleared. There's nothing that can't be cleared, in my opinion, I believe.
You
Okay.
should check it out, Priscilla, and let us
Yeah,
know how it
thank you.
goes. Yeah. The next time that we're going to meet is February 4th. That's the first Wednesday in February. And don't worry, you'll be getting an email on it, and it'll be in Wendy's report, Friday report. I think we had a good session today. A lot of good
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah, good job, everyone.
Yeah, could you? Bravo, bravo, bravo.
And okay, we'll see y'all
All right,
soon.
everyone, until
Okay.
next time. And is next time next week because you're on the regular schedule?
Let's see.
No, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
It's in two. Let's see. I'll tell you right now. Today's the 14th. The next week, the next two, then it's the 21st, the 28th. So it's actually 3 weeks away.
Okay.
The 4th. It's be the first. Yeah, because we did a little bit differently because I was out of town this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll go back to the normal thing next time, which is the first Wednesday of February. And you'll get an email a whole week in advance from me.
Okay. Okay. So the next one. So we're not having a first week in February, only the third week. Just the 20th.
No, the next one's the 4th.
Oh,
February 4th. That's
okay.
Yeah. We've done the 2 already this week.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because I went out of balance a little bit there than
Okay.
usual because I was in
Okay.
Florida.
February 4th. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Have a great week, everyone.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.